Jacob, home field has so much new stuff, especially for March and March Madness. They came in with new jerseys, like new retro jerseys, which are super, super cool. They always have the best stuff. I bought a home field shirt a couple years ago, and it still looks brand spanking new. And I got more home field stuff on the way. I absolutely cannot get enough of home field apparel.
If you're a NASCAR fan, actually, they have some throwback gear on their site too
Yeah.
right now. So tap in, home field. If you want to support the show, use code SQUARE at checkout. You get 15% off if you're a first time orderer, or you get 10% off if this is if you're just a home field addict. That's code SQUARE at checkout. There's one company, Andy, that we trust to put our own merch out there into the world and who we firmly believe is coming on top this football season. That's elitesports.com. They support athletes directly. They make custom stuff for us and for them. So how could we not be on board?
We got friends who have bought the crew necks. I always wear my Elite Sports Squaring Around hat. Got to support the brand. Use code SQUARE at checkout for a 10% discount. Not too shabby. EliteSports.com. They support the athletes and they support us. So go support them.
Thanks for squaring.
Tired of winning the tailgate but losing the games? We can't help that. But we can tell you what the hell is up with each team and what's going on across sunny San Marcos. Texas State fans, get on your feet. You're listening to Squarin' Around with Jakob Rodriguez and Andrew Zimmel.
Right. Oh, did I have an intro? Oh, yes, I do. Zim, my little brother, Jason, graduated with his master's. Very excited for him. Congratulations to my little brother, Jason.
Mazel tov.
But with that comes the potential of squaring, right? When somebody graduates, my favorite time of the year is to go out during commencement time. It's a very jovial atmosphere, very fun. The vibes were immediately like, nah, it's okay. We had a big lunch. Let's just hang out with our fam. We're chilling. Jason gets invited to a small gathering, very intimate party. Really nice. We're just hanging out, having a couple drinks. But my arrogance got the best of me, and I start throwing up the square sign, So I start doing that number, and everybody starts getting hyped up for the square. Next thing I know, we're on the freaking square, and I'm shoulder to shoulder with a bunch of like 21-year-olds, just like I never left college. And I'm like, damn, I can't believe I used to think this was fun. Then again, back in the day, I was getting a lot of bottle service and running up tabs. But I think I have outgrown parts of the square, and the vault may be the first one on that list. What used to be rooftop is now like aquarium or something.
They all changed. They all changed the names. Like I'll talk to people and they go like, "Hey, have you been to this bar?" And I'm like,
"Now there's some new ones." And I'm like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, I almost see like have a map and be like, "Okay, what did it used to be called? Oh, it used to be called this. Okay, when it was this, I was there, but now it's this, and I haven't been there because."
Do you remember Daiquiri Factory? That was one of my favorite places, and they shut it down circa like 2017 or 2018. I think I had just started like drinking or going out, one or the other. But I would always meet my friends at Daiquiri Factory, and that's one of the places I miss the most because it's just frozen drinks and good vibes. And I think for some reason there was a big land shark connection there. Whatever. But yeah, long live Daiquiri Factory. What else is missing from there? Now there's like we finished up the night at this place called Wildfire. I don't know if you guys have been out there. Black Rabbit is still around. Maylou's, of course, tried and true. Green Parrot still around. Nephews has been around since your mom's mom was in school. So yeah. But yeah, I was a little like, oh, this is nice. And also, I really want to fucking go to sleep because I didn't get to sleep till like 2:30. And then the next day I had to work. So I drove back to San Antonio and then produced all day from 11 to 11 while you were watching a Sun Belt title game in San Marcos.
Which leads us to the interview we have today with Ricci Woodard. Jacob, the conversation was this weekend, when's the last time you got to see your Texas State Bobcats win a conference championship on their home turf? And I cannot remember a time. You have for sure never seen it. I now can say I have seen it. The fans, immaculate. The vibes, spectacular. Does not get better than what I saw this weekend. And we talk about it with Coach Woodard. It's a good interview. Stick around for it. You're not going to miss it. Here's Coach Woodard.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Squarin Around. I'm Jakob Rodriguez. That's the Texas State Sports Prez, Andrew Zimmel. This week, we're joined on the show by head coach Ricci Woodard, representing Texas State softball ahead of the NCAA Regionals in College Station this week.
Boo.
Huge week for you, Coach. Just kind of walk us through, I guess, your week. I know you guys leave tomorrow, right, for College Station?
Yeah, so we caught the pouring rain yesterday, so we just hid inside yesterday. Today we, got to get out there and kind of kick it around a little bit and get going. And then tonight we got a dinner where we're going to watch Jessica Mullins get drafted into the Athletes Unlimited, I think is the plan tonight. So, then practice again tomorrow morning, go eat at Hangry Joe's with the president, and then we're going to leave about 5 o'clock and head to College Station and get to business.
That place is getting a lot of love, Hangry Joe's. That's where me and Zimmel went the last time we were in town to watch you guys, actually. When we saw the last home series against Marshall. So,
Is it good? What do I get?
It is good, yeah. I got the chicken sandwich, the original chicken sandwich with fries. Very good.
Okay.
But I was getting some slack online with like the heatness level, because they have like a scale. It's like hell, and then like, sissy sauce, and it goes up to the medium. I'm a mild guy,
Yeah, probably me too, since I'm getting on a bus afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. Like you don't want to go I have been roped into going spicy before with a different demographic of people. And what happens then is that you feel really icky afterwards. And then you're like, what, at what cost? I got bullied into being uncomfortable. Don't let him do that to you, Coach.
Not to worry. Not to worry. I'm smarter than that.
This is, I guess, like Nashville hot chicken hot, though. It's a different level than like Cajun heat or like Mexican heat, which I think is what Andrew was alluding to.
Right.
But yeah, it's got its own twang.
Well, okay, let's talk about the Sun Belt tournament that I was at, that Jacob was not. You can boo him for that.
I was working.
Hey, Coach, I know some people were giving us some grief. They said, why are you not at more of these softball games? The ones I'm at, y'all are winning. So does this mean I got to go to College Station? Let's talk.
Yeah, I was going to say, whatever we just did this weekend is what we need to stick to. So if Jacob needs to stay home and, work or do whatever he needs to do, feel free. So yeah, whatever was happening this weekend, we need to keep on clicking.
All right. So we talked about a little bit after the game against the Cajuns. I want to get into that a little bit more with you, because I thought that it was very telling that Louisiana, a team that had won the tournament, had won the regular season a number of times now at this point, that for whatever reason, they really, I don't know if it wasn't the pressure. I don't think that's what it was. Why do you think they were kicking the ball around like that early in the game and doing having those errors?
Yeah, I think sometimes, as I stated, it's easier to be the offensive side in those games and get to hit first than it is on the defensive side in that atmosphere and that pressure, and they're playing on our field. So it's a little bit more pressure. Plus, I think that, the last time we played them, we beat them 5-0. So I think there was a lot going on there for that day, just in general. But, our fans, the place was crowded. It was noisy. It had a lot of energy to it. So sometimes, it's just easier to get going on offense than it is on defense on those days.
I've been getting a lot of flack on social media and just in general, because my stance has been that the regular season's great, but the only time the Sun Belt gets an automatic qualifier is through the conference tournament. So it's great to win 20, 30, 40 games, but the tournament's what matters most. And you guys winning it really, really helped my argument. Really, really, really helped solidify that. So I have to say thank you, Coach.
Well, I appreciate it. But I will tell you guys this. I think it goes both ways, because they're getting to host this weekend. because they took care of business also during the conference and we didn't. We lost some of those games that we shouldn't have lost. And I don't think that helped us because right now we're sitting at 17 RPI. And, if we were sitting at 15, 14, we probably could be sitting at home this weekend. So
how much did that surprise you? Did it shock you? Were you shocked by that result that you had to go to College Station, that you weren't going to host?
No, not necessarily. I was hoping that we might have put ourselves in a spot once we won that tournament. But, I think, again, Louisiana took care of business, throughout the season on some games that we didn't. I could probably go through at least 5 games that are not good losses for us that didn't help that cause.
When you juxtapose the 2018 team versus this one, because it's been, 5 years, 6 years now that the Texas State had won the conference, what do you see that is similar between those two squads?
Pitching.
Yeah.
You compare Randy Rupp and Jessica Mullins and you got a kid that wants to win and a kid that wants to compete their tail end off to win. And so, anytime you have that atmosphere in the circle, I just think it makes everybody else around them better. I think this group is more offensive than that 2018 group was. And we run the bases better. So, I just think all the way around, this probably is a little bit better squad. But that was a really good team that did, some amazing things also. So it's hard to really compare, but I still think this group is more offensive than that one was.
And is that led by Sarah?
Yeah, probably some of it. But, you talk about, Sarah, JJ, Kat Zarati, Piper, any of those kids, Anna Jones, any of those kids, can hit a ball a long ways if they get the opportunity to. But, I would guess that we probably have 30 or 40 more doubles this year than we had that year in 2018. Probably even more home runs if I was guessing. But this team just has a little bit more power. And then you go the top and the bottom of the lineup, and you got a lot of speed in there too.
Our crack research team will get on that, Jake. You got to put those graphics up here. All right. We joked when you recruited Jessica. I was like, hey, is this the next Randy Rupp? Is because it feels like every 4 years or so, 2 years or so, that you find just a diamond in the rough. It's you find a pitcher that doesn't matter if she was pitching at Texas or anywhere else in the country, would be the number one, would be the ace. And we find them. What does that go like now as Jessica's on her way out and you're looking at your entire scouting portfolio and you're looking at high school athletes across the state of Texas? Do you see somebody like that? You're like, okay, hey, I know what traits Randy had. I know what traits Jessica had. This is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, a little bit, and again, both of those kids came from the same high school.
Yeah, that helps.
Along with Megan King and Chandler Hall. And so that helped me a little bit, even though we don't really recruit high school ball because it's at the same time as ours. So all of those kids, I recruited through club ball. They just happened to all be at the same high schools, and I didn't even know it at the time. But, I think that it's just a matter of finding a kid. When I went to Mullins in high school during the playoffs, I just liked the way she handled herself on the mound. She just gave her team that competitive edge. And at that point, she wasn't being real highly recruited. So, I was like, I'm gonna jump on her and go with it. I'm not sure. I've had a lot of people say we just didn't think she was going to be that good, and I was like, I would agree with you. Early on, I didn't really jump at her either. But there was just something that day that made me feel like she's going to give us a competitive edge on the mound, and she definitely has done that. But she's also, probably gained 5 miles an hour than she was throwing in high school. So, and everybody's like, that's not how she was throwing before. I'm like, I agree with you. But she definitely has that, give me the ball, and I'm going to go. And so did Randy Rupp for sure.
So who do you credit that speed to?
I don't know, because, from the first time we got her here, she was pretty much going, Paige McDuffie worked with her really well, but, the biggest thing was not trying to change too much because probably shouldn't say this out loud, but she's not a spinny pitcher. Like, she doesn't spin the ball real well. There's some pitches that spin a little bit, but she's really I'm going to go right at you pitcher. And more probably like the 96, 97, 98 mile an hour fastball type of pitcher than anything else.
That's what I was going to say, because I've noticed that over the past, because again, I went back and I was trying to watch highlights and stuff as we were getting into the tournament. And that's something that she does. She throws the ball really hard, really fast, really low in the zone. That kind of felt like the scouting report on Jess. And I guess I was smart enough to realize that maybe the Cajuns weren't. I don't know what the deal was because they weren't able to put a bat on the ball.
Well, I think you just nailed it. Staying down in the zone has really helped her I think sometimes she, elevates some balls, and those are the ones usually the Cajuns want to hit hard. So she's really worked hard the last month or so to kind of bring that pitch that she has down a little bit, and then, get her rise ball really in on people's hands. And so they may not swing at it, but that's okay. They still know it's coming.
So I watched her, Jake and I watched her last year. We had her on the pod last year. We watched her this year. We had her on the pod this year. It feels like there was I'm not saying that she wasn't as competitive last year. She just felt more competitive this year. And I don't know if it was social media. I don't know if something in her life changed, but there just felt like she always had like a little bit of an edge. And then this year there was like an even bigger edge. And I noticed it immediately talking to her on the pod that, hey, something's up here, that this is somebody who's like laser focused and locked in.
Oh yeah, you nailed it. I think there's a huge difference between last year and this year, which is why she's got 30 wins this year. And why I just kept giving her the ball, because, I felt like last year, maybe she didn't have that complete competitive edge that was like, okay, do we give her the ball? Because Tori McCann was throwing fairly well. Carson Pierce threw well at times. And so it's like, it was kind of a coin flip on which one's going to be the best today. But yeah, I think this year there was no doubt, when she had the ball in her hand, she gave us a chance to win every single ball game that she threw in.
So what's the scouting report going into this week?
For us or for against Mullins? Which way you want to
go? Let's go for you. How are you scouting out the rest of the teams? Is Penn State a team that you've beaten? It's A&M a team that you've beaten. And then who's the third team that's in there too? Albany. Okay. Yep. Forgive me for not remembering Albany.
I had to look it up. They have like a schnauzer as a mascot, and I was like, "What school is this?"
Well, the girls too. They were like, "Where's that?" I was like, "Oh goodness." So yeah, they never heard of it either. So don't feel bad. I think the biggest thing for us is, number one, we got to know that we can't just go in there saying we're 4-0 against these teams and we're going to win. That doesn't fare well for us. So we have to stay on the aggressive side. Penn State's got a pitcher that we did not see when they were here before. And she's their number one. She's a freshman, but she's throwing the most innings for them, but she was hurt or something that week. I wasn't real sure, what was going on, but they didn't use her at all that week, so that they were here in Texas. So we haven't seen her. So that gives them a little bit of an edge there, where they've seen all of ours, that they would probably see. But again, I just think with both teams, with Penn State and with A&M, we have to be aggressive, both pitching wise and offensive wise and base running. It has to look similar to this past weekend if we're going to win this thing.
I wanted to ask, Coach, you mentioned like weather being a factor in y'all's like travel schedule, or I guess practice schedule for you guys at home. What was it like last Thursday? Because that was the game I was going to go to, actually, because my brother graduated with his master's. You better stay away.
Yeah, you better stay away, Jacob, after that.
I know.
If you were coming Thursday, don't bother anymore.
Yeah, I would have been with Colton hiding in the men's bathroom. I guess I'm glad I didn't go.
But yeah, you made the right call.
What was that like? That must have been nuts.
Yeah, it was a little bit crazy, because I thought that, and everybody else thought that storm was going to stay north of us. Mm-hmm. And so we're kind of all just hanging out. I had a lightning today as soon as the national anthem went off, and we're like, okay, well, it still looks like it's going to go above us. So I'm not going to worry about it too much. And then as I sat there watching, I was like, hey, this thing looks like it's getting lower and lower and lower. And so at some point I was like, hey, if we're going to make a move, we need to make a move. We can't just sit here in our dugouts and wait, because when this thing hits, it looks ugly. So finally they're like, yeah, y'all go back to the UEC and we'll send these guys out to their bus. Well, the bus wasn't a real great situation at some point. So they ended up putting them over in the pavilion, and we sat in the UEC over here. The girls were in their locker room, but we ended up opening the doors for probably 200 people that were trying to leave graduation that were stuck in it too. So yeah. I was like, well, I'm just going to make the call. We just was like, well, let them in. Because some of them were our kids' families too. So it was a little crazy. I'll be honest, I still thought we were going to play, because I was like, okay, we'll sit this out, 30, 45 minutes. It's over. We'll go out and play. And then I got out there, and the tarp was blown off the field, and tents were up on top of the baseball screens and everything else. So I was like, yeah, I don't think we're playing tonight. So
I think there's a really iconic picture now of you and Don Coryell, Chris Coots, Megan all pulling those tarps. So I was like,
yeah, that took a lot of us, because it was blowing all over the place, and there was a lot of water on it. So, and then try not to dump more water onto the field. That was crazy. That is the nice part about turf, though. You could just dump that on the turf and go play.
I talked to Chris about it, and he said that's his favorite part about being at Texas State, because there was never a question like who was going to help with it. It was just all hands on deck, which I think says a lot about the people you have around the program, Coach, that nobody thought anything of it. All right, hey, everybody, all hands on deck. Let's get this tarp off the field.
Right. That's one of the reasons why I'm still here 24 years later, because I agree with Chris. That's what I love about this place, is that everybody's all in all the time.
I wanted to ask Coach too, what do you all do like special for Selection Sunday? Like, what is that like for you guys now? You know, you guys do anything special? I know you guys hang out in the Castro Club and, you know, watch it from there, but.
Yeah, we've had the team before, you know, just the team, and, you know, just kind of talked about the week and kind of what the week would look like. And then, you know, again, as I told everybody, going into that selection show, if we wouldn't have been the automatic qualifier, I'd have been a little panicked when we were the 64th team called up there. I was like, holy cow, this would have been really nerve-wracking on some other years. So, but it was kind of cool, you know, just the anticipation of it. Sometimes it is a little bit more crazy when you don't know if your name's going to be called or not. So I don't think I had that feel to it. I think it was more about, are we going to get to host or are we going somewhere? But yeah, I felt like if we would have already known we were going to host before the show, if that was the case. So I figured we were going somewhere. But
now clearly you guys would have wanted to like host, right? That's a no-brainer. But going to College Station, is that the second best option, or was there a different region that you were looking at being like, okay, we would rather have gone to XYZ?
No, I like it. I'm sure, you know, probably the players have mixed feelings, because it's kind of cool to go out to UCLA, and it's kind of cool to go to Alabama and Arizona and some of those places. But, you know, from a chance of having to win this thing, I like it because it's familiar. You know, it's easier for us coaches to kind of navigate, because we're not going out to the middle of Los Angeles trying to figure out how to, you know, get the bus drivers to the right place and where we're going to eat and all that stuff. So I like it for our standpoint. You know, when you really have a good team and you want a chance to win, I like it for that reason.
The last time me and Zimmel saw you was, I think, senior day for Sarah Vanderford and Tori McCann. When you see, you know, these players kind of like complete their career at Texas State, and you go back like, you know, 4 or 5, sometimes 6 years for some of these players now, like, and you think about like the first moments you started recruiting them, like, what does that all mean to you? You know? Like,
yeah, especially Sarah and Tori, because they were still in that early group where you could recruit kids when they were really young. Even Piper, I want to say Piper was like hell bent as an 8th grader coming here, and Piper weighed about 100 pounds, and I don't even think she weighed 100 pounds, to be honest. She was probably like 90 pounds, dripping wet. And I was like, yeah, I don't know about this. You know, but those kids have been with me for a long time. When you go all the way back to, you know, freshman year of high school, you know, sophomore year at the latest, all of that group. And so it's kind of, you know, it's kind of surreal now to think that after having them as kind of a part of my world for 6, 7, 8 years in some capacity, whether I'm recruiting them, they're already recruited, they're here. You know, I watched them grow up from almost junior high kids where they were coming to camp to now, you know, 22, 23-year-olds going out into the real world. And so, you know, for me as a coach, that's what I live for. Don't get me wrong. I love the wins. And I love the competitiveness, but to have watched these young ladies go from that to where they are today, that's why I do what I do.
Well, there's a clip right there. That's a social clip right there.
I've been dying to ask you that question. I wish I had asked you the last time I saw you, but I was like, well, I have a podcast for a reason. So
there you go. There you go.
So we did this thing last time when we talked to Sarah and Jess. We said, what's the worst question you've gotten during this press tour that you guys had to do this?
The answer was that is.
Yeah. Is that the worst question? What's it like to have these players for so long?
No. You know, I think there's probably not a worse question. I get a little irritated when I feel like I've already answered a question, and then 5 minutes later I get asked a similar question. I'm like, I think we already kind of went through that already, and I don't have a different answer. So, but I don't know that there's a worse question. It's just sometimes I feel like I answer a question and it's not listened to, and then I get to answer it again in a different way.
You didn't give them the quote that they wanted, Coach. They're looking for this specific word, these phrases.
But what does that mean to you?
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I think we're good. What? Anything else we're missing, Coach? Is there any like some secret storyline that we don't know about? Anybody that's like ready to blow the doors off of Penn State or A&M?
I hope there's a few of them that are ready to, just to be honest. But again, there's no hidden secret, man. If we play like we played this past weekend, we got a real shot at it. But we have to be that good.
Do you feel like there's like a rivalry with A&M at this point? Because it seems like this is the second postseason in a row you're playing the Aggies?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a rivalry as much as it's a, hey, we kind of gave them that spot last year to go play in the championship game. And so I think that's kind of been what drove us a little bit this year. So I think it'll be fun to see kind of what happens when we get over there. Because I do think, you're talking about a lot of in-state kids on both teams, and they know each other and they've been there, done that. And so I think that makes it a little bit more of a rivalry where they don't want to get beat by us because of that.
This is a fun hidden gem moment. When you guys were playing A&M last year, I was on a date on my phone watching you guys play. And
Nice.
I'm not in that relationship anymore.
As I said, it could be why you're single now, or
yeah,
what?
could be.
Yeah, shocking. I don't know. I think that's a green flag. If I'm on a date with somebody and they're like, "Oh, sorry, you went to the bathroom," and I pulled up the Texas State softball game on my phone, I'm like, "Hey, this is great."
We were waiting for a table. We were at the bar. They didn't have ESPN Plus on, so and we had just had Jessica on the week prior. So I was like, "What am I gonna do? Not support Jessica Mullins?"
Right. Yeah.
I think I'd buy wedding invites.
That's not a girl you want to keep around anyway if you can't put on the Texas State softball game. So easy enough.
Yeah.
Smart.
Well, Coach, it's been an absolute pleasure watching you guys play this year. We can't wait to continue watching it. First game Friday at 3 p.m. College Station. So looking forward to it, Coach. Thank you so much.
All right, let's go. But you stay home, Jacob.
I will. I promise.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
It's such a joy talking to Coach Ricci Woodard, whether it's on the softball field or we run into her at the spring game and she's talking shit about us and we haven't talked about her softball team yet, which I apologize for in person.
But I will say that the booking agent has, they took a little bit of time off. It's understandable. Things are busy. Look, everybody has different lives and make things work. We really do try to bend over backwards to make it all work. So if we didn't get to you, we didn't get to you. I will say that we will be talking to the volleyball team this year because they have
us not covering volleyball is all my fault. Everybody, that's on me.
Volleyball team made a point to reach out to me and say, "Hey, what's the plan?" Yeah, so it'll be interesting. They're going to Hawaii this year, so we'll talk to them probably before they take the trip to the Big Island.
Well, what's the Big Island? Honolulu?
Maui.
Well, I guess the mainland is the U.S., right? Because the entire North America is, I guess, one island.
You stupid. No, that's a continent. What do you mean that's an island?
Kind of an island.
It was the same with Australia.
Was Pangea an island?
Is Australia an island?
Anyway, softball played in College Station. We've got high hopes, and Andy's got a banner. I'm excited.
Yeah, I do.
This is the most softball I've watched ever, probably, I think.
Yeah, who was it? I was talking to, was it you? Or was it my parents? Somebody who I was talking to that was close to me shocked me with the realization that they had never been to a softball game before. And
I hadn't been to Bobcat Softball Park ever in my entire journalism career.
That is insane.
Because I covered football, basketball, and then I would show up and spread Steve Trout propaganda.
No, see, the thing is that when you're a journalist like myself, you start in a lot of ways at the bottom of the barrel and you work your way up. And sometimes softball and soccer are deemed bottom of the barrel. Now, I never thought of that way. I enjoyed covering those sports, but other people didn't. And I took my opportunity where I could get it. I did a lot of softball games in high school and in college.
A plethora of knowledge and experience. I want to congratulate you too, because you asked some of the best questions at that damn press conference after the Sun Belt Conference title win. I was very proud of my boy every time he asked a question, and they were all great, nuanced based questions, buddy.
Even though the answers sometimes were not.
You don't think so? Well, this is another question because I did not get to see the game, but I was in San Antonio producing. So I was like, hey, I'm going to put this in my show. So I told our sports guy, Casey, and we had it on air in San Antonio. We didn't take the press conference. I guess we could have.
Shocking.
Yeah, but it was a very small mention in the sports block, as you can imagine. I think San Antonio was like pre-lottery or whatever, or maybe very post-lottery. Oh no, the lottery was the next day, Sunday. Yeah, so that was the big to-do in San Antonio that day.
Yeah, so it was good. It was a good time, and What's interesting is that Texas State doesn't get to host, and immediately the conversation turns to, well, is it because of the ballpark? Is the ballpark too small? And I don't think that that's really necessarily the truth. But when you look at the way that the softball stadium is kind of set up, it's not super conducive to a bunch of fans coming.
It was definitely made baseball first, then softball.
It's definitely made Texas State weekday game, not Sunbelt tournament. Well, I thought the Sunbelt tournament was fine. I think that if you have A&M fans and Penn State fans and Albany fans and Texas State fans, that place would have got really, really full really, really quick. So maybe, hey, Dampus, Don, this might be the time to renovate some stuff. But bottom line, softball wins the conference. It's a huge deal. Last year at this time, we were talking about, oh, hey, maybe they win their little regional tournament. And you jinxed them. So I'm not going to say that.
Yeah. Last year, I jinxed Coach Woodard hard because I think we talked to her at the beginning of the season. And I was like, Coach Woodard, you're about to cross a major milestone in your career. You're going to pick up your 800th win. She did that this year, like mid-season, by the way. So I was drunk as shit and was basically like, you're going to get more than 60 wins in a single season. Stupid. Dumbass question.
Half of 60 is 30, and that's how many wins that Jessica Mullins has. And she's the first pitcher since Rupp in 2016 to have 30 wins. Stat of the day. She could give 31 during this tournament, and I think be the single season win leader, which would be huge.
Cement herself in the all time.
Now, this is where we get a little bit of like, yeah, because again, somebody put that tweet out. Jessica Mullins cements herself as a GOAT at Texas State. Now, Jacob, I am of the opinion that you get one per sport, and then that person's like the face of the program, right? So, like for baseball, probably Paul Goldschmidt. I think that's a fair thing to say.
Yep.
Right. For football,
nobody else's jersey over there is getting retired anytime soon.
Well, for football, there's a bunch of different options because it's been, there's two sides of the ball. Derek Neely's name gets thrown around a lot for those big FCS wins, but you usually get one per. Is kind of where I'm going.
Football doesn't have one.
Oh, I think they do. You're going to get a lot of shit for that.
I think obviously, if I had to pick one, it would be Barrick Neely. Coach Barrick Neely. But
not
now in the modern era. You're going to tell me
David Mayo,
one guy,
David Merritt. Really? All right.
You're going to say David Mayo is the face of the football? He doesn't even do our podcast or DM us back.
That's fair. My point is that like I think that if the Texas State Bobcats and Jessica Mullins, propelled by her, win the region, maybe we have some conversations about her usurping Rupp. But right now, I'd say Randy Rupp is still the GOAT of softball at Texas State.
Men's basketball, you say Mason Harrell, or what do you think? Because I remember when
Jeff Foster.
I remember when Mason left Texas State. He graduated, right? After 6 or 7 years at Texas State, Dr. Mason Harrell graduated. And everybody was like, retire his jersey. And I was like, do you guys even know how many fucking jerseys have been retired at Texas State? It's like 4.
I think it's still Jeff Foster.
Yeah, Jeff Foster, clearly. Shout out our boy. We saw him. The last time I saw him was in Dallas.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That'd be another good pod ad. He is
not going to do our pod.
Episode 91 of Squarin Around. If you take all of these episodes and all of our Republic of Football podcast episodes and you mash them all together. We got something really fun coming for episode 100.
I was going to say, what do you have?
Huh? No, you already know about this. Don't know about this?
Okay.
I don't want to reveal it on there, but
all right.
No.
We'll talk about it off air.
Thanks.
Good luck, everybody.
Kick some ass.
We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
Better not come any closer.
Thanks for listening. New episodes out every Thursday. Follow the boys on Twitter. Eat 'em up.